Hello there, my name is Kevin Noyce, and for this project I will be presenting the country of Russia. We will discuss its geography, its culture, its language, religion, and other interesting facts about the country Russia. Please sit back and enjoy this presentation. Russia is a vast country, mostly cold climate ranging from frigid conditions in the Arctic Circle to more moderate cold climates on the eastern side of the Europes. Russia is a diverse country that consists of many cultural pockets. With how much political friction there has been over the history of Russia, it has caused different groups of people to have different thoughts and mindsets and cultures throughout the lands. Russia is a conflicted country, and they do not have a total consensus on ideology or political discourse. This means that Russia has a range of cultures throughout the lands. On this presentation of Russia, we will look at the geographical overviews of Russia, the cuisine and foodways, what is Russia like to eat, the language and dialect, how has the language changed over the centuries in this old country, the religions, what do Russians believe, and some other additional facts, politics, history, and prominent people. Russia's been around a long time, so there should be some interesting stuff in store for us. The geography of Russia is very diverse, just like its people. Fun fact, first off, Russia is physically the largest country in the world. It has 17 million square kilometers, or for you Americans out there, 6,600,000 square miles. Russia is 1.8 times the size of the US for all you Americans out there who can roughly imagine the size of the United States. Russia is 1.8 times larger than that. It has the largest number of contiguous time zones with 11 time zones. However, much of the land, with all of its vastness, has poor soil and climates to grow agriculture. The winter climates range from cool to frigid. Up in the Siberian lands where it's mostly close to the Arctic Circle, Russia is also surrounded by Asian and Eastern European countries where Russia's culture has been shaped and molded by all of these countries that it surrounds. Now we're talking about, what do Russians like to eat? those cuisine and foodways have been influenced by Chinese, Arabic, Turkish, and French cuisines. Not to mention, Russian cuisines have a mix of Slavic, Mongolian, Polish, Ukrainian, and other flavors. Russia has been bordered by all sorts of different countries, and even countries have changed over time. And the traditional cuisine could be characterized by the dietary restrictions of the Russian Orthodox Church. So the developing history and Orthodox religions have also had significant effects on Russian cuisine. Popular ingredients in Russian cuisine are grains and pastas, smoked fish, pastries, salads, wines, vodkas, and honeys. Fish is in overabundance in Russia with all their vast shorelines. So fish can be seen as a replacement for meat, especially during times like Lent that line up with their religion. Their long changing history has led to some types of foods to wither away and some types to stay, like in the Soviet era when food was hard to come by and they had to get creative to eat. So a lot of Soviet era dishes are still eaten today, even though the Soviet stain on Russian history would like to be forgotten, but they still like to eat their food. Sometimes you just can't get rid of that food because it's too good.
Прощай теперь, пока сегодня стала ты ему женой, а он бродяга. По жизни холостой ему не надо. Жизнь золотой, ах, это свадьба. Прощай теперь, пока сегодня.
Духовной жаждою томим, в пустыне мрачной я влачился.
The Russian language first was seen in around the 10th century AD. There have been a growing number of Russian speakers throughout the world over the years. Russian language has about 258 million speakers worldwide, with about 150 of those speakers, million of those speakers, being in Russia itself. As a matter of fact, Russian is the second most used language on the internet after English. Who'd have thunk? It's actually Russian is one of the 2 official languages aboard the International Space Station. Russian is a mix of, it's an East Slavic language, and it's been a conglomerate of East Slavic tribes from the 9th to the 13th centuries, with a mixture of people coming together to develop a very unique sounding language.
В уста замерзшие мои вложил десницею кровавой, и он мне грудь рассек мечом, и сердце трепетное вынул, и угль, пылающий огнем, во грудь отверстую водвинул.
The main religion of Russia is the Russian Orthodox Church. This is their main religion, which is a type of Orthodox Christianity. The birth of the Russian Orthodox Church is said to be when the Prince Vladimir had been baptized Christian in the year 1988 AD. The Russian Church is autocephalous, which means that its head bishop does not answer to any higher-ranking bishop. And this gives the church a type of autonomous behavior where they can govern themselves. And they claim exclusive jurisdiction over the Eastern Orthodox Christians who reside in former members of the Soviet Union that are no longer countries of Russia, that are more like outsiding, bordering countries.
Christi
politics of Russia today are a federal semi-presidential republic of Russia. The Russian government has a similar framework to the United States of America in that it has a constitution, a president, and a multi-party system with checks and balances. Ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, it had been difficult for Russia to establish a new political system. However, in 1943, Russia developed a constitution that declared the country a democratic, federative, law-based state with a republican form of government. Some additional facts about Russia will include some historical facts. Russia has had a long, rich history, but in recent years, say the last 120 years, Russia has not had a very good track record with their form of politics. Let's take the Soviet reign, for instance. The Soviets reigned in Russia for 75 years. One of the great Soviet leaders was known as Joseph Stalin, and he practiced a type of communism that wasn't so great for many of the Russians at the time. Joseph Stalin had used great Russian nationalism during the Soviet era. Russia, however, leapt forward in industrialization during this time, but Stalin was met with heavy resistance in many areas due to his political views. Stalin's form of communism led to famines across the country where hundreds of thousands of Russians would die from the famine. Russia also had enslavement, executions, and deportations that overall led to over 20 million deaths. Russia has not been short of its prominent people. Two prominent people that I have chosen for this project have been inventors that have made life just a little bit easier for all of us. First, Igor Sikorsky. He may not have been the only person to work on the helicopter, but he was the first person to perfect the helicopter for production. Today, Sikorsky is a large helicopter manufacturing company. Sikorsky fled Russia after the 1917 revolution, and he completed the helicopter in 1942 as a U.S. citizen. As we learned from our last slide, Igor Sikorsky would have fled Russia during the Soviet reign. Another prominent person that we have that we will discuss is Alexander Popov. He is the inventor of the radio. Popov developed a receiver that could detect incoming radio waves, and in 1896, he used his invention to transmit the first radio message between two nearby buildings. This started a new era in communication. As we conclude our presentation on Russia, just a quick summary to remember the important things of Russia. Just remember, Russia has a large landmass. Remember, it has 17 million square kilometers, and it clocks in as the largest country in the world. Russia is so large, it has diverse cultures that are influenced by all the surrounding countries. It's also influenced by its cultures and its religious restrictions. It has a rich history. You can see it in their architecture, in their culture, and even in the languages that they speak on different parts of the country. Russia is a prominent language that is only one of two main languages that are spoken on the International Space Station, and their firm religious views influence their culture and even what they eat. Thanks for listening to my presentation. Thank you, or as the Russians say, spasiba.